Lately, I've been posting a lot about Lunalight, but despite being a TCG player, I've received a lot of support from the Master Duel community as well. So I wanted to give back to those of you who are by showcasing the many Lunalight endboards that you can end on in Master Duel. I hope you enjoy, and let me know if you want to see any of these deck lists. Lists will change depending on which line you choose to prioritize, and it can be a bit messy exploring each of these before their respective combos. I will be using Omega as my simulator today because I don't have all of these cards in Master Duel just yet, but with that out of the way, let's get into it. So this is your bread and butter combo, which requires you to open Gold Leo. So you'll start off with normal summon Gold Leo, and you'll use the effect to add Yellow Marten from deck to hand. Now normally I would advise against doing this because adding Yellow Marten to hand and then discarding it means that you instantly lose the draw. But on Master Duel, draw is semi-limited, so you don't have to worry about it too much. So you can afford to get away with this sometimes. So we'll be using Gold Leo's effect to add the Yellow Marten. We'll discard it, and then we will use the effect of Yellow Marten in the new chain to add Masquerade to hand. You'll then activate Masquerade, and you'll then use its ignition effect to send Silverhound to the graveyard. You'll use the effect of Silverhound from the graveyard to special summon our Kaleido Chick. You'll then activate Kaleido Chick's effect to pitch Black Sheep, and then you want to activate Gold Leo's effect to add the Black Sheep back to hand. You'll then you'll activate Black Sheep's effect to add Polymerization to hand. You'll activate the Polymerization, and you want to go into Perfume Dancer. So your sequencing here needs to be very specific. So you want to go Chain Link 1 Masquerade and Chain Link 2 Perfume Dancer. I know this kind of feels counterintuitive because we're now allowing our opponent to draw the Perfumer, but unfortunately you have to sequence it this way to have a discard for Masquerade. So we'll let the chain resolve, we'll add Perfume to hand, and then Masquerade will add Polymerization from the grave to hand, and then you want to discard the Perfume from hand. Of course, this only really matters when you're playing as a one card combo. When you're playing with a full 5 card hand, you will have a discard. But if you don't want to discard any of the pieces in your hand, let's say there are 4 hand traps, this is how you would sequence things. So from here, you want to activate the effect of Perfume Dancer to add Masquerade back to hand, and then you want to use the grave effect of Perfume, banishing itself and discarding the Masquerade to add Tiger to hand. You'll activate Tiger. You'll use its ignition effect to summon Kaleido Chick from the graveyard. So even though Kaleido Chick's effect is negated, it sends to the graveyard as cost, so we can activate it. So we will use this effect to send Leo Dancer to the graveyard. And from here, you want to link summon off into an SP using your 2 bodies, before using the grave effect of Yellow Marten to return the Tiger to your hand, effectively resetting the effect. Because you can now activate the Tiger and use the ignition effect again to summon back out the Kaleido Chick. With Kaleido Chick on your side of the field, you can use the effect again. This time you want to send just any Lunalight name from the main deck to the graveyard. It doesn't matter which, but we're just probably going to go for Gold Leo since we have duplicates of that, so we have more versatility. Okay. Then from here, you want to overlay into an Evil Storm Nightmare. This is your direct replacement for Baguska. You'll then activate Polymerization, and you want to fusion summon from your graveyard because we used the effect of Masquerade earlier in the turn, which allows us to do so. So you want to banish the Leo Dancer, the Black Sheep, and both Gold Leos. So our endboard has Liger, which is both a Towers and a Raigeki sort of card. During either player's turn quick effect, you can send a Lunalight Fusion from extra deck to the graveyard, destroy all special summon monsters your opponent controls. We then of course have the SP, which can be used to banish until the end phase 2 monsters, one on your side, one of which has to be on your side of the field. We have the Spell Trap Negate live with Silverhound because we already control the Perfume Dancer in the graveyard. And then Evil Storm Nightmare isn't a floodgate, but it is able to sort of Book of Moon 2 monsters on opponent's side of the field on 2 separate instances. So whenever your opponent special summons, you can detach a material, flip that monster face down. Now, something to notice that this isn't especially good against Mitsurugi because you can ritual summon with face down monsters, but it has a lot of uses against a lot of decks, so it is pretty decent. Most of the time Mitsurugi will have a hard time out in your board unless they have the Woshu, which they'll use to tribute the Liger. But I think a lot of times you want to kind of prevent them from getting access to the Woshu by using your Silverhound to negate the prayers, but of course there are going to be times where they just summon the Aramasa and search it anyway, so that is a bit of a worry, but most of the time you should be okay. Now, if you don't feel like ending on an Evil Storm Nightmare, you can use your 2 level 4s that you're left on the field with to summon out a Galleon Crown Knight. So you'll overlay for that. And then you'll use Granite's Ignition effect to detach probably the Yellow Marten, so you have that for next turn to add a Nibiru to your hand. So something you should know is that Nibiru does not tribute Liger. So if you read Liger, it's unaffected by all cards except Lunalight. And this is not a Lunalight card, so even though it's your own Nibiru, it won't tribute your Liger, so it essentially forms some sort of layered interrupt which can be used to then nuke the board after you've already used the Liger's nuke again, should you need to. Also from this position you can overlay into an Infernal Flame Banshee using your 2 level 4s, using its effect to detach the Yellow Marten to search for flags. We'll add the flag to hand. You'll then activate the flag's effect. It doesn't really matter which one you want to return. I would probably return a Yugioh because it is technically a starter. Summon the flag and then you can activate the effect of flag to add Corridor to your hand, and you can then use Corridor to special summon itself by returning one of these. Again, doesn't really matter too much. Summon it to your side of the field, and from this position you can overlay into, well not overlay, you can fusion summon out a Thunder Dragon Colossus. So we added a Floodgate to our field, similar to Baguska, except obviously it doesn't do anything to the field. It has a way of preventing your opponent from searching, and this kind of has the application against Mitsurugi if you're worried about the matchup, because they won't really be able to do too much. So this next combo is for those of you who need to respect both Droll and a Kaiju. So it is something that I imagine a lot of Master Duel players want to go for, even though Droll is semi-limited. People have been playing Kaijus for Lunalight, so you need more than one Liger on the field, and you can get there with just a Yugioh. Of course, if you don't open Yugioh, you can go about this combo if you open either a Masquerade, a Foolish Burial, a Tenki, or a Fractal. So I have posted how to do this in my masterclass, so if you need a quick refresher, I'll leave a link to that in the description. So we'll start off by normal summoning the Yugioh. We'll use the Yugioh's effect, and this time we're going for the Silverhound, not the Yellow Marten, because, well, like I said, we want to play around Droll. So we'll add the Silverhound, we'll pitch the Silverhound. If our opponent Drolls here, we can then adapt the line so that we can still end at least a Liger. If you want to know how, or if you haven't seen that video already, I'll also leave a link to that in the description. So now we will proceed as normally. We will activate the effect of Silverhound, and you want to summon out Collider Chick from deck. You'll use Collider Chick's effect, and you want to send the Black Sheep from deck to graveyard, and then use the effect of Yugioh to add Black Sheep to hand. You'll activate Black Sheep to add Polymerization from your deck to your hand. Just give me a second. And then you'll need to activate the Polymerization to go into the Perfume now. In this scenario, since you don't have the Masquerade on the field, or rather you don't need to fusion from the graveyard using Masquerade's effect, you want to go Chain Link 1, Perfume Dancer, and then Chain Link 2 of Collider Chick to add Polymerization from the grave to the hand. So this line at this specific point does play around Droll, so by chain blocking. So we'll add the Perfume to hand. We'll then activate the Perfume to summon out the Collider Chick from graveyard to our side of the field, and we will then use the effect of Collider Chick to send a Leo Dancer from our extra deck to the graveyard. From the scenario, you can activate the effect of Perfume Dancer to reset Collider Chick by special summoning it back to your side of the field, and then you want to use its effect again. This time we're going to send a Yellow Marten in case our opponent has something like a Ghost Spell. We can play around with that to be using the Yellow Marten to sort of reset some of our soft ones per turn effects. From this position, before Link Summoning, you want to use the effect of Perfume, banishing itself, discarding the Polymerization to add Lunalight Wolf to hand. With Wolf in hand, we can combo as we should. So this time we're going to go for Cross Sheep, linking off our two monsters. We'll then activate Wolf, and we'll use Wolf's Ignition effect to fusion summon out a Liger Dancer. This time we're going to banish both of our fusions, the Black Sheep and the Yugioh, to summon Liger to one of the zones the Cross Sheep points to. This will trigger Cross Sheep's effect, and you want to summon out your Collider Chick from graveyard. And from here you can activate Collider Chick's effect again to send the second copy of Leo Dancer from the extra deck to the graveyard. You'll want to use the Grave effect of Yellow Marten to return the Wolf, summon herself. This essentially resets the effect of Wolf, which we'll need for later. From here you want to link summon into a Tiger King, using the Tiger King's effect to set Tenki. You'll activate Tenki, and you want to use Tenki's effect to search for Lunalight Tiger. From this position, before you use the effect of Tiger, make sure you activate the effect of Tiger King, and you want to banish, well not banish, you want to detach the Collider Chick. Then you'll activate Tiger. You'll use Tiger's effect to summon back out the Collider Chick. And from here, you'll activate the Collider Chicks effect again to send another Lunalight from your deck or extract to the graveyard. From here, you can link summon into an IP using your Tiger King and your Collider Chick. So yeah, in this case, we're not making the SP, but during our opponent's turn, we can use the IP to go into SP, so it adds another layer of interrupt. We'll then activate the Wolf, and we'll use the Wolf to now fusion summon out the second copy of Liger. So we are going to banish the Leo Dancer from graveyard. Basically, you're banishing everything except the Silver Hound. And this play kind of gets you your 2 Ligers. So this is what I mean by it plays around Kaijus to an extent, because your opponent can only Kaiju you once while you control a Kaiju, so they have to pick one of your Ligers, and then you still have a Liger. We have the IP to link into SP, which gives us 2 points of interaction, because the SP banish on summon, and then you can banish again later during the turn. Unfortunately, what this combo doesn't have is it doesn't have the spell trap negate live immediately, so we'll need to resolve one of the Liger's effects to send a Lunalight fusion from the extra deck to the graveyard to make this Silver Hound in the graveyard live. But assuming we do that pretty early on, then we have the negate. A weakness though, of course, is that we can't play through something like spell cards Soul Exchange. So if our opponent has that, they are able to trigger both our Ligers, which is unfortunate. But if you want to play around Soul Change, well, spell card Soul Exchange exactly, the way you would do that is you would start off your combo by discarding the Yellow Marten instead of the Silver Hound with Gold here. So it doesn't play around roll, but if we do this line, we will have an extra body in the graveyard so that we can keep a fusion in the graveyard for our Silver Hound so that we can negate something like that. So you always have to choose with this line, am I playing around roll or am I playing around the Soul Exchange? So yeah, you always have to, it's a bit of a gamble, but you guys should be able to get a bit of a read on this the further you play with the deck. Now this next combo will take that same Endboard just a step further. Now to go about it, you'll need a starter, so either Yugioh, Tenki, you know the things, and another level 4, or if you are leading with the Yugioh, you can also then use the Masquerade to push ahead. So for this case, just to show that there is some variance in how you can start your Pokemon, lead with the Masquerade. If you lead in with Masquerade, just remember that you do need a discard, so it's Masquerade, a discard, and then another level 4. So we'll activate the effect and we'll send Silver Hound to the graveyard. We'll use the effect of Silver Hound to summon out Yugioh from our deck. We'll use Yugioh's effect, and we want to add Collider to hand, pitching the Yugioh, or pitching the discard. We'll then normal summon the Collider Chick, using its effect on summon, the Ignition effect, to add, well, to send Black Sheep, and then use Yugioh to add the Black Sheep to hand. You'll activate the Black Sheep, and you'll add Polymerization to your hand. You'll activate Polymerization, and you'll use it to summon out a Perfume Down. You'll go Chainlink 1 Perfume, Chainlink 2 Collider to add Polymerization back to your hand. You'll then activate Perfume to summon back out Collider. Use Collider's effect to pitch a Leo Dancer. Use the effect of Perfume to reset. Summon back out the Collider Chick to your side of the field. Use the effect again to send the Yellow Marten. From here, you want to do your check, so you can activate the effect of Perfume, pitching the Polymerization to add Wolf to hand. Go into Crush Heap. Activate Wolf. Use Wolf's effect to fusion summon out your first Liger, and you want to go with your 2 fusions in grave, the Black Sheep and the Yugioh. So you'll summon it to one of the zones the Crush Heap points to. You can trigger both of the effects. Of course, if you led with the Yugioh and you didn't have the Masquerade, you couldn't use it. We have it, so we'll just activate it to chain block. So we'll Chainlink 1 Crush Heap, Chainlink 2 Masquerade to add the Polymerization. We're not discarding anything. And we want to special summon back out the Collider Chick from grave. You'll use Collider Chick's effect, and this time you want to send, like before, you're going to be sending the second copy of Leo Dancer. You'll then activate the grave effect of Yellow Marten, returning the Wolf, summoning herself, and then you want to go into a Tiger King. You'll use the effect of Tiger Kings on summon to set Tenki. Now, if you led with Tenki, you'll be going for Dugaris to summon back from grave instead of using the Tenki to search for Tiger. In this case, we're just going to use the Tenki, and we will use its effect to add Tiger from our hand. Well, add Tiger to our hand. In this case, it's not necessary to detach, but you can if you just want to start putting together some good habits. But instead, we're just going to link these two away for the SP. No reason to activate the SP just yet. We will use the effect of we'll activate Tiger and then use the effect to use its effect to summon back out the Collider Chick. Summon Collider Chick, use Collider Chick's effect to send another Lunalight from our deck to the graveyard. So if you had Yugioh and Masquerade, you would be sending the Emerald Bird to summon back one of your banished Yugiohs. So we'll just be sending it there. Obviously it won't trigger because we are sending it off Kaleido and not as part of an effect. So from here we have enough material in graveyard that we can make our Liger. So we'll do that. So we will use the Leo Dancer, the Emerald Bird, the Yellow Marten, and in this case our discard happens to be a Lunalight, so it means that we get to keep the Silverhound. If our discard was not a Lunalight, we would have to banish the Silverhound so that we don't have a spell trap negation on bonus turn. Thankfully in this case we had a Lunalight, so it all works out fine. So then we can banish those, and we then summon out the second copy of Liger. From this position we can Pendulum Summon, so we'll Pendulum Summon out the level 4 Lunalight that we had in hand, and from here you can go into an Evil Swarm Nightmare. So we have double Liger board with Nightmare SP, and because we discarded another Lunalight, we have the Silverhound engraved. So now this board can deviate somewhat, and I'm going to show you what I mean in just a second. From this position, instead of going for an Evil Swarm Nightmare, if you have 2 level 4s on the field, you can go for a Gallant Granite. And with Granite, there's a couple of things we can do. So like one of the first combos that I showed you, you can activate the effect to detach the Kaleido Chick to add the Nibiru to your hand. Doing so means you have some sort of layered interrupt because you're able to then nuke your opponent's board while keeping your Liger safe because they're unaffected by the Nibiru. But if you were prepared to play a brick, in this case we're playing the Zephyr Core as a Garnet, we can go for this and we can do something pretty cool. So we'll then, from this position, because we have the polymerization that we retrieved off the Masquerade after we summoned the first Liger. Now of course we got to this Masquerade because we led with it, but if you aren't leading with it and you're leading with something like Yugioh, you can easily get to one by sending a gold by discarding a Yellow Marten instead of a Silverhound off of Leo's effect. So it does expose you to draw, but I mean, again, assuming you get to this point, you're in a good position where you can start doing something pretty cool. So we'll activate polymerization and we'll fuse the Zephyr Core that we searched off the Granite and the SP for El Shaddai Window. And what I kind of like about this board is because it kind of puts our opponent in a bit of a catch-22, right? Because this says that they can only special summon once per turn, right? So if they kaiju, there is no good kaiju target, right? So if they kaiju this, the Winder, we still have double Liger. If they kaiju one of our Ligers, we still have a Winder plus another Liger, and this means that they've essentially wasted their special summon, tributing our Liger, and they'll just have their normal summon for the turn. If we're looking at something a bit more high impact, like a Lava Golem, if they decide to tribute both of our Liger Dancers, we still have the Winder, and essentially they've wasted their special summon for the Lava Golem, and Lava Golem places a restriction where they can't normal summon, meaning that they're probably going to end with no monsters on their side of the field. So with the Winder, the Gallant Granite, and the Lava Golem, we can then OTK during our own turn by activating the effect of Wolf again to fusion summon using the 2 Ligers that we have, either for our second Perfume Dancer or if we have another name for the Saber Dancer. So that's more than enough damage for lethal. If they tribute our Winder and a Liger for Lava Golem, they still have special summons, but we still have a Liger. Our Silverhound in the grave immediately becomes live and they have no normal summon. If Winder is in your style and you get 2 level 4s in the field after you Pendulum Summon, there's some pretty cool things that you can do as well. So the board I'm going to show you now is what I could describe as an anti-Raziel board and an anti-Mitsurugi board. And the board is actually pretty good against Lunalight mirror match pretty too. So instead of going into the Gallant Granite, we will overlay into Banshee. We'll then use Banshee's effect and we will detach 1 to add flag to hand. So we'll add the flag to hand, not send it to the graveyard. We'll then special summon the flag off its effect. It doesn't really matter which one we put back into the graveyard, although I suppose let's put one of the fusions so that we have it for the next time. We'll then use the effect of flag to search for Nemesis or the corridor. We'll then special summon the corridor. Again, it doesn't matter which one we put back. Summon itself, and then from this position we can go straight into a Colossus, which is pretty good. So we've got the Colossus on field, meaning that the Mitsurugi matchup can't search the Woshu. They either have to hard draw it, and even if they have it, they have to choose between tributing the Colossus or one of our 2 Ligers on our side of the field. So there's very little that they can do from here. So I was trying to show things from the same board I've been shown from the past, but because you have 2 additional bodies on the field, your SP Lunalight can instead be a IP, and then you can then use one of these bodies to link into SP during your opponent's turn. So it has a lot more layers to it. It's pretty good, I like it. But I question whether it's better than the special summon lock. I guess it just depends on the matchup and what you kind of fear. Both Colossus and Winda have protection against card destruction. I think the main difference is that Colossus also has protection against battle destruction because you can just banish the corridor instead. So yeah, it's up to you guys to decide which you prioritize. In the TCG, I think this is kind of cool post side-in because you don't have to commit the bricks to your main. You can just put them in the side deck, and then when you know you're going first, you can make this, and a lot of your opponents will just fall to it then and there. And then naturally, because we are playing the Nemesis package, we can then overlay for a Banshee again. We'll use Banshee's effect, detach in, and we'll add the flag. We'll add the flag to hand. We will special summon the flag. And I guess I said last time it doesn't really matter, but I guess we want to return the banished fusions into our extra deck so that we have more bullets for our Liger, so more activation requirements. Then we'll activate the effect of flag, and yes, we can go for Protoss because in Master Duel, I don't believe this is banned. So we're going to summon it, we're going to banish the Banshee so it will summon itself back. We want to banish the Cross Sheep, and then we need to banish something else. So in this case, we'll go for the Collider Chick that happens to be in our graveyard, just so that we can keep the Silverhound there. So we'll banish those, we'll summon the Protoss outside of the field in defense vision, and we will then activate the effect of Banshee to summon itself back to outside of the field. So we have Protoss, and we can either call Dark or we can call Fire. If we call Dark, our Ligers are safe. I believe Protoss destroys everything, not just monsters on your opponent's side of the field. Yeah, destroy all monsters on the field. So we call Dark. We lose the SP, unfortunately, but we still keep both Ligers on our side of the field. If we call Fire, well, who cares? I don't think there's many Fire decks in the format right now. It is a bit risky in Master Duel because it is a best of one, so you kind of have to make this somewhat blindly. But I think calling Dark is never a bad idea, especially considering that Malice is still around, Mitsurugi, and Lunalight. So if you've reached this point of the combo but you hard drew the Garnet, there's some pretty cool things that you can do. So at this point we use the on-summon effect of Tiger King to set the Tenki to search Tiger. So from here you'd use Flag's effect, you would return one of the fusions back into the extra deck. We're going to return both over the course of the combo, but I think it would be safer to send the Perfumed Dancer in case we need just some more follow-up for something else in the turns to come. So we'll summon Flag, and we'll then use the Ignition effect, and you want to add Corridor. Of course, if you want to go for Protoss, you can just go for Protoss instead. I feel as though the Colossus line is a bit safer for Master Duel, which is why I'm prioritizing that. So I had the Corridor to hand, and then with the Tiger King and the Flag, you can link off into an IP, which can then be used during your opponent's turn to go into an SP using itself and the Cross Sheep. So from here, I'm going to use the effect of Tiger to special summon back out the Collider Chick to outside of the field. And I will use Collider Chick's effect now to send another Lunalight name from the deck to the graveyard. Cool. I will then special summon, well, activate the Pendulum effect. Well, I'll scale the Wolf, and then I'll use the Pendulum effect to fusion summon out a second Liger. Like before, we're basically going to use everything from our graveyard that isn't the Silverhound, so we'll go for these three. And if we're choosing a zone to place it, I think it's safer to put the Colossus. I mean the Liger Dancer underneath the Anima zone, because let's be real, your opponent can't exactly steal it with an Anima, so it's probably the safest place to put it. And then from here, we can Pendulum Summon. So I'm going to Pendulum Summon out the Yugioh to outside of the field. And now that we have 2 level 4s, we can go into an Evil Swarm Nightmare. This, of course, can be a Gallant Granite if you wish to search for something like a Nibiru instead. And then from here, you can special summon out the Nemesis Corridor by returning one of your Leos back. As soon as that happens, we summon out the Corridor to outside of the field, and we will go into a Colossus. And just like that, we ended up on a pretty crazy board of Colossus, 2 Ligers, an IP that can go into SP, Evil Swarm Nightmare, which is 2 interrupts, and as soon as we use one of the Liger's effects, we have a Spell Trap Negate. So very win more, but I mean, it's still an impressive board no matter which way you look at it. Like, if we just set this polymerization, we essentially used all of our zones for this board, which is kind of crazy. Then of course, from this position, if you want to absolutely ruin your opponent's day, there's something that you can do as well. So you'll Pendulum Summon out your level 4 to your side of the field. And you're doing this before you summon the Colossus just so you have the zones. And if you don't want to go for the Evil Soul Nightmare, you can go for the Galleon Granite as I mentioned before. So we'll summon the Granite and we will use the effect to search. And in this case, we will be going for the Zephyrical. Right? So then before we get the Wind on the field, you want to summon out your Corridor. Return one of your fusions back to the extra deck. Summon Corridor to your side of the field. Summon out Colossus. And then from this position, you can activate the Polymerization, which we will. And then you want to fusion summon out your Winder using your IP and the Zephyrical. So we have basically everything we could ever ask for from this field. We have the Colossus, which means that they can't search. Your opponent can only special summon once. We have 2 Ligers, which are 2 towers, and each one of them can use the effect to Raigeki your opponent's board once each. And then as soon as we have Raigeki, we've got the Spell Trap Negate from the graveyard. So I don't think anyone is winning from this position. It is basically Colossus plus Protoss. We basically got to both of them. It does play a lot of Garnets, so I don't recommend playing this, but if you do, it's a great way to flex on your opponent. I'm sure you've realized, but when you're in a position to make a rank 4 with this deck, you're in a position to make anything. So we'll Pendulum summon out the Yugioh so we can have 2 level 4s on the side of the field. And from this position, we are going to make a Ryziel Dual Drive. Yeah, Dual Drive is generic, so we can do this. So we summon Dual Drive, and then we'll use the Ignition effect to detach 2 to add 2 Ryziel cards from our deck to hand. So we want to add Cross and Sword. We'll activate the Cross. Special summon Sword to our side of the field. We'll use the effect of Sword. We want to add X. We will activate X effect. We will send one of the other rank 4s. Summon itself to our side of the field. Obviously, we don't get to search because we control non-4 X's monsters on the field right now, but we don't really care about that. What we want is the Detonator. So we'll summon Detonator, and we can now use its effect to attach something from the graveyard to it. It doesn't really matter what we want to add. So I'm just going to go for one of the rank 4s, so we're just on brand. And then from this position, we have double Liger, which can be used to Raigeki our opponent's board twice. As soon as we've used one of those Raigekis, we've got the Silverhound, we've got the SP, we've got 2 pops with the Detonator because we want to save one of the pops for the Cross. So for this next combo, you'll need Yugioh plus a discard. It doesn't play around roll, but I guess that's okay considering we are on Master Duel where you don't really need to worry about it too much because it's semi-limited. So we're going to use the effect to search for Yellow Marten and then discard the Yellow Marten. New chain effect of Yellow Marten, so we'll use its effect to now add a Lunalight Masquerade from deck to hand. You'll activate the Masquerade, using its Ignition effect to send Silverhound from deck to graveyard. The effect of Silverhound will now activate, and you'll use its effect to summon out your Collider Check. So far nothing out of the ordinary. The line does deviate a bit later, but we'll get to that when we get to that. We'll then use the effect of Collider Check to send Black Sheep. Use the effect of Yugioh to add the Black Sheep back to hand. You'll activate Black Sheep to search for Polymerization. And from here, you're going to fusion summon out a Perfume Dancer. So we'll activate Polymerization, summon out Perfume Dancer, and in the new chain there'll be a couple of triggers. So we'll go Chain Link 1 Perfume, Chain Link 2 Collider Check. So we're not using Masquerade just yet, but we will a bit later. And you want to grab one of your Perfumes. You'll then activate Perfume, and you want to use its effect to summon out Collider from grave. And from here you can activate the effect of Collider Check to send Lunalight Leo Dancer from your extra deck to the graveyard. You want to then use the grave effect of Yellow Marten to return the Masquerade to your hand to summon Assault to your side of the field. Activate your Masquerade here so that you don't forget about it later on in the combo. And then you want to special summon out Dugaros using your 2 level 4s. You can then use the Ignition effect to detach 2 to summon from grave. So we will special summon one monster from the graveyard, and we will go for Collider Check. Activate Collider Check's effect. So there's one or two things we can do here. We can either send this Leo Dancer to the graveyard if we want to prioritize making the second Liger Dancer as early as possible, Or we can just send another Lunalight name to the graveyard so that when we fusion the Liger Dancer, we don't have to banish the Yellow Marten. Well, either way, the Yellow Marten is getting banished, so again, it doesn't really matter. It just depends on where you're going to get stopped in your turn. So we're just playing in a vacuum, so we'll send the Leo Dancer. From here, you want to use the grave effect of Perfume, sending the polymerization to the graveyard to add Wolf to hand. Link summon into Cross Sheep. You want to use Wolf's effect. We'll activate the Wolf and then use Wolf's effect to summon a Liger Dancer. Basically, you wanted to keep the Silverhound in grave and the Collider Chick. So this will summon to Cross Sheep to a zone Cross Sheep points to, and then you want to activate Cross Sheep's effect as Chain Link 1, and then the effect of Masquerade as Chain Link 2. So this will add polymerization to a hand, and then you want to discard whatever your discard was. Special summon back out the Collider Chick. Use the effect to send another Lunalight name to the graveyard, and then from here you want to activate the effect of your Perfume Dancer to add the Wolf to hand, and then special summon the Wolf to your side of the field. With the light and dark on your side of the field, you can now synchro summon out Chaos Angel. Now the reason why we use the Wolf instead of the Perfume Dancer is that we can get both of the effects of Chaos Angel. So we have both the synchro monsters you control can unaffected by opponents' activated monster effects, and dark monsters, these are the dark monsters, so monsters you control can't destroy a battle. From here, you want to link summon into an SP using your Perfume and your Cross Sheep, before finally activating polymerization to summon out your second copy of Liger Dancer. So we'll just banish basically everything from grave that isn't the Silverhound. So this board is a little misleading, right? Because we have the Chaos Angel on our side of the field, which a lot of people will assume means that our Ligers are unkillable because they now have battle protection in addition to being unaffected by card effects. Unfortunately, it just isn't true, because if you read Liger Dancer, right, it says unaffected by card effects except Lunalight cards, right? And Chaos Angel is not a Lunalight card, so this dark monster battle protection that it has does not apply to your Liger Dancer. Your opponent probably might not know this, but if you're playing a Master Duel, you know, they'll be given the option to attack. And I guess if they do, we'll just see. Nothing might happen, something might happen, but I'm telling you, this effect isn't going to work. It's just, you know, it's a bit of a mind game where your opponent will look at this and think that they can't out the Liger, so they might scoop. But if they do know the ruling and they have something big enough to attack the Liger is going to be destroyed by battle. So essentially, you can think of this line as adding a third tower to your board, or it's good for going second because then you have the SP and the Chaos Angel banished to remove two cards from your opponent's side of the field before you use the Liger nukes to attack directly. And then for the final Lunalight combo, or Lunalight Endboard, I want to show you the Lunalight Raid Raptor board. And for this, you'll need a Yugioh plus any 2 discards. So you'll start off by normal summoning the Yugioh, and you'll use the effect to search for Yellow Marten. You'll pitch the Yellow Marten, and you'll use its effect to add you'll add Masquerade. You'll activate Masquerade, and you'll use Masquerade's effect to pitch Silverhound to summon out Collider Chick, and then Collider Chick's effect to send Black Sheep, Yugioh's effect to add the Black Sheep to add polymerization. You'll use the polymerization to fusion summon out Perfume Dancer. You'll go Chain Link 1 Perfume, and then Chain Link 2 your Perfume Dancer. So we are going to add the Perfume and then use discard one of our discards. We'll then activate the Perfume, summon back out Collider Chick. We'll use Collider Chick's effect. We want to send the Leo Dancer to the graveyard before using the effect of Perfume to discard the second discard to search for Tiger. You'll then activate Tiger. You'll use Tiger's effect to summon out Yugioh. You'll overlay for your first rank 4, which will be the Raid Raptor 4 Strix. You'll use the effect to detach to add a level 4 Dark Winged Beast from deck to hand, which will be your Raider's Knight. You'll then use Raider's Knight, which is going to detach to summon itself, and from here you will link off into a Raid Raptor Y Strix, using the Y Strix's effect to summon out your Zephyros from the deck. You can then use the Grave effect of Yellow Marten to add the Tiger back to hand to reset it and summon itself. You'll then go into your second rank 4, which is your Raider's Knight. You'll then use Raider's Knight's effect. You want to detach the Zephyros specifically because we're going to need this in the graveyard to use its effect later. So you'll use that to rank up into a Brave Strix. From here, you'll use Brave Strix because you use Raider's Knight effect to rank it up. You can then use Y Strix's effect to set your Raid Raptor rank up spell. From here, you can use the effect of your Brave Strix to set a Raid Raptor trap. So there's two options. You can go for the counter trap, which I just went for because, you know, counter trap good. But in retrospect, I think it is better to go for the Glorious Blight, which can be used to negate, I think, basically anything on the field. It just targets a card and negates it. It's similar to like the Hot Red Dragon, Archfiend Abyss, I think that's its name. Of course, if you want to cut down on the brick count in this deck, because I think it plays 4 in the main, you can just cut this and play without it. So we'll set those. We'll then scale our Tiger. We'll use Tiger's effect to summon out Collider Chick back to our side of the field. We can then use Collider Chick's effect again. We're just sending a name. I guess Emerald Bird makes the most sense because we can technically summon it back, and if we fusion summon it using it, we can summon something else from Grave of Banishment. So then we will then use the effect of Zephyrus, like I said, to return the Tiger to our hand, and then it will summon itself to our side of the field. From here, you can go into Baguska. Okay, I went into Baguska here because it is the replay. For this combo, you'll obviously change it by using something like one of your rank 4s that we went through. So it can be either your Evil Swarm Nightmare, your Galleon Granite, or if you want to do the Ryzeal stuff, the Ryzeal stuff, but I don't think you have the space for any of that. So we'll summon out the Baguska just because, but it'll be an Evil Swarm Nightmare in your case, and then you can make your first, well, you can make your one and only Liger because we are only making one with the Zen board, and we'll be using the Polymerization to banish these 4 from our graveyard to summon it. From here, we can then use the effect of Tiger again, and this just allows us to link off using the extra bodies on our side of the field to make an IP, which can then go into an SP tree in our opponent's turn. We are playing against the bot, so the bot will normal summon. We will then use the effect of IP just to showcase that we can, and we'll go into the SP, and then we'll chain in sequence the effect of the Raid Raptor Force. Obviously, you'll time this to where your opponent has enough monsters on the field that you can justify using it to destroy their board and nuke everything they have on the field. And you're all, of course, will target your Brave Strix and then the other 2 Raid Raptors that we had in graveyard. So if we look at the materials, we had the Yellow Monster that was attached to the Brave Strix, and then the Raider's Knight, which is treated as a Phantom, well, as both a Phantom Knight and a Raid Raptor while in the graveyard, and the 4 Strix. Well, not just in the graveyard, it's basically treated as those 2 cards anyway. So we can use the Quick Play rank up spell to target it. And we summon this. It summons to us out of the field. It's just unaffected by all cards, period. It has no weakness to anything besides Kaijus and Underworld Goddess. It summons, it'll destroy as many special monsters our opponent controls, and if we have 3 or more with different names, we get to inflict damage to our opponent equal to the combined attack of the destroy monster. So it can, in some situations, be an FTK, well, an OTK in itself, which is kind of funny. But this just showcases how many towers we can kind of get on our side of the field. And of course, because I had to close the replay, so I had to surrender for that, it'll show lose. But from this position, you're probably not going to lose. It's just a very excessive combo, but it is one that is very, very cool.